Hi, Jackie Lee Price for Shadowboxruk UK. Today's guest is a 4 times national champion. He is apparently the manliest man in Ireland, and he's just qualified for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, or now 2021. Emmet Brennan. How you doing?
I'm good, yeah. As I was just talking to you there, I'm in top form. Just training for the Olympics, but jetting off on Wednesday. So yeah, just I didn't have much time to celebrate or to take her all in. It was literally we had a week off at home, then it's back to training, and yeah, getting ready to head off on Wednesday. So exciting times ahead for myself and the rest of the team.
So let's go back to the actual competition in Paris. First and foremost, before we talk about the actual, the bouts and stuff, what is it like, when you first get home? Has it been a situation of, like you say, you just see your family slightly and then were you back into quarantine and then back sort of focused on things because the turnover, or the turnaround, I should say, is quite quick?
Yeah, the turnaround was quite quick. So I think we had 7 days off until we were back in with the national team. Yeah, so we had 7 days off. I didn't train in them 7 days, so I just gave myself and the body a bit of a rest, especially I was in 3 hard fights. So yeah, I just rested, caught up with friends, caught up with family. Yeah, just tried to take in as much as the experience as I could. Little bits of celebrations, not too much, just some good food, good chats with friends and family. Yeah, trying to get around to as much people as I could in the small window that I had.
I'm guessing though, you still, although you want to try and sort of meet up with everybody that's kind of had your back, I'm guessing there's a sense of, I can't overdo it. Do you know what I mean? I've still got to kind of keep my laser focus.
Yeah, you got to keep your laser focus, and you sort of got to be still wary that of COVID. You don't want to catch that, because if you catch that right now, you may say goodbye to your Olympic dream. Yeah, so it is trying to catch up with people, just trying to do sensible things, being outdoors if you can, going for a swim in the sea, wherever it is. That's what I do with some of my friends, and then going for a coffee. But yeah, we had 7 days, and then you're straight back into training, and the focus changes from yeah, you're seeing your friends, your family. Now it's like I got to prepare myself for the biggest occasion in my life, which
Yeah.
is the Olympics.
Do you know?
It's great to say that.
I know I was going to
Yeah.
say, what is it like to finally, that moment when you kind of get that golden ticket? I am an Olympian. What is that like? What's that feeling like?
It's amazing for throughout the last few years I've been very, very tough, but I've always believed that I would have been an Olympian. And then it makes all the sacrifices, all the setbacks. It is all worth it for that. Like it's pure joy of getting there, and you're so proud for your family and friends and everyone that helped you along the way. But I think with winning stuff, after a day, you're like, what's next? So I was over the moon for a day, and now it's like, I want to try get a medal. Let's get the head down, walk away for that. So, like, yeah, no, it's unbelievable, but yeah, you always want to do better.
Do you know, it's interesting though, for me on the outside, or maybe the viewers looking in, you saying that it's kind of, I've got to look to the next step. I guess people could get carried away. Do you know what I mean? Just at this level, get carried away and stop focusing.
Yeah, and you could do, and I think it's good and it's bad that we have so little time between the qualifiers and the Olympic Games. So we only had them 7 days off. You got to keep your head in the game, so you actually don't have enough time to become ungrounded and let yourself get away with
Yeah.
it. Because you have to refocus and go again. Whereas maybe if we had 3, 4, 5, 6 months in between qualifying and the games, there would have been more time for the likes of doing media, the likes of seeing people. You might get a little bit more recognition, and there probably is a higher possibility that you could get ahead of yourself
Yeah.
and take your eye off the ball.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Mm,
Absolutely. We spoke during lockdown last year, I think it was.
yeah.
It's been so long.
Okay.
Talk to me about, I know we briefly kind of touched on it before, but navigating this whole, it's not just a normal situation for anybody, but then for elite athletes that have to perform, how was that whole scenario? Because you got COVID, didn't you? And then
Yeah,
you were quarantining, and then you had your little training camp in your room.
yeah,
Talk to me
yeah. We
about
had
that.
that. Yeah. Yeah. So like the whole thing where it was is that as far as we knew, the Olympics were still going ahead. So the dream and the vision still remained the same. It's just that there's obviously you have to go a different route in terms of you have to be adaptable to training at home. You have to be adaptable to. We were training in pods at one stage, so we weren't with a full team. We were training in our region. So I'm from Dublin. I think there was 6 or 7 of us training here, 6 or 7 training up in Belfast, and then the same in the Midlands. So it's just adapting to what was put in front of us and being flexible. That was probably a big thing with it. So like one week we were told we might be going to a tournament in Spain. So you're getting ready for that tournament. Next day that tournament's cancelled because of COVID. So it's just like ups and downs. But if you're flexible and adapt and you can adapt to these things, um, they will they'll do you well over time, and that's probably what helped us getting over the line in the Olympics is being adaptable to what was in front of us.
It feels like you are super mentally strong, because I don't know about you. I thought I was mentally strong, but
Yeah,
just that kind of the ups and downs, the ifs, the maybes, the maybe nots. Surely that has plays a massive or has a massive effect on your mental health.
yeah. Like I suppose like you're so focused on the Olympics, and then I suppose if you're thrown back to 2020, you come back from the qualifiers that were cancelled. I genuinely thought the Olympics was going to go ahead in 2020. Like I still did in my head, and then it's like, Jesus, no, they're going to 2021, and then there's rumors going ahead that they mightn't actually go ahead. Um,
Yeah,
I suppose it could ruin you if you read into all that,
yeah,
but in my head was saying like you're gonna have to do the training anyway. You might as well stay as fit as possible right now. And if they're cancelled, they're cancelled, but you still have all that training in the bank and you can look towards new goals.
yeah,
Or else you cannot train, and then the likelihood is if they're not cancelled, you're not gonna qualify.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I think that's beautiful.
Mm.
Unshakable belief in not only yourself, in your dream as well. I think that's brilliant. Let's talk about the qualifiers. So the first round did well. Got
Yeah.
a second round stoppage against the Bosnian fighter. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that was actually in London from last year. I stopped the Bosnian lad. Yeah, it was a good win in terms of the competition that I was up against. He wouldn't have been in the higher end of the good fighters in Europe. So, it was an expected win, but you still have to turn up and you can't overlook any fighter. Like they all have a dream as well. So yeah, I was happy with that win, but it was a fight that I should be winning. I wouldn't get too ahead of myself from that.
So we get through to the round 16, and you've got Yuki Smargely. Again, beautiful performance, won on a unanimous decision. Talk to me about that. You do love a mid to close range, because you're quite tall, aren't you? But you love a mid to close range fight, don't you?
Yeah, that's yeah, I love so like I don't mind people that box on the back foot, but I would be an aggressive fighter. I like being in aggressive fights. I like being in competitive fights. It's what gets me up. Um, I do understand there's the boxing, there's the back foot boxing and all that, but it's not what I enjoy. I enjoy being in a tear up. I enjoy being in fights, and I enjoy people looking at my fights. So yeah, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, but back to the Switzerland guy, yeah. So we had a year to look at him because I knew I was fighting him in London, and fast forward a year to the qualifiers. So I knew what he done well. I knew what he done bad. I knew how I could beat him. I knew how I could let him beat me. So I had no excuses going into that fight. You never in your life you're gonna have a year to look at someone before you fight them.
It's true.
So we had the game plan. The game plan was perfect. We knew with straight shots that his head was gonna rock back. because we've seen that in the video analysis, and yeah, there was a lot of slip uppercuts, and then when I got on the inside, it was throw your shots, don't let him hold, because he had a tendency to do a lot of holding.
Yeah.
Once someone got on the inside of him, so I knew exactly. Yeah, I knew how to beat him, and yeah, the game plan worked perfect. I was ahead going into the last round, and then I sort of went on the back foot a small bit, took a bit of a breather, and yeah, I got over the line. I was happy with that performance.
It was a great performance, actually. And to be honest, I don't listen to a lot of the commentary normally, but actually, that commentary on the fight, even just they were getting so excited. Honestly, they were so excited. It was one of those bums on the edge of the seat types of fights. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how most of my fights are. I mean, like I love amateur boxing, but I'm in the wrong sport. I should be boxing as a pro because I have that style. But I love amateur boxing, so I think amateur boxing is a lot more competitive
Yeah.
than professional boxing. So, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's true, actually. You would do really well turning over, but not quite yet. So the next bout was against Luka Plantic. Now, he unfortunately, took the wheels off the journey for you at that point. Your first round, you got a standing count, which, to be honest, you didn't warrant it. Talk to me.
So, yeah, like not that I thought I was a bit harsh done in the fight. So in the first minute of the fight, I think he threw like four lead hand hooks in a row, and I just blocked, 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 and on the fourth block, the ref just started giving me a count. I was bewildered by that. I didn't know what was happening, but I was like, "What's a count for?" Didn't warrant an account. I was blocking the punches, but then he did win that round. But I just think because I took account, I think psychologically that plays on the judge's mind. So I thought he won the first round. I thought I won the second round, but I didn't get it on the scorecards. I think the count in the first round played a part in that. And then I've looked at it back. I've even heard the commentators. They thought the same thing. They thought 1-1 going into the last round, and then you have everything to play for. But look, that wasn't to be. I had to go one more fight, with more exciting. So yeah, you can't dwell on a loss either as well when you still have a chance of qualifying for the Olympic Games. You literally have to put them 3 rounds in your back pocket and move on.
Yeah, you did block, but you also had your other hand up as well. So you was actually really covered, and I was just like, I'm not sure about that. But I always wonder what goes through your mind at that point. Is it like, oh, I'm behind, and you kind of, I don't know, not fall apart, but there's a moment because you looked very shocked. Is there a moment where you think, oh, I've got to really claw that back, or you just cool as cool as ice?
Yeah, like I've from experience, in the past, I think when you like show emotion and you try to get that point back is when you get clipped, or you get caught with a good shot, or you start to make mistakes. So it's about just trying to stick to the game plan and not do anything stupid that you may regret. Uh, that was yeah, just went with that.
Yeah. And then obviously, thank the Lord, you had another chance on the box off. So what happens, in between the fights? Because I know obviously you do the analysis throughout the year, but in between bouts at major competitions, does this still happen? Do you sit down and you have a look at your opponents and have a little chat with the team and look at tactics?
Yeah, so the coaches will have a look at them. You'll have a look at them. You'll come up with a game plan. In competition, it does happen, but not at the same scale as what we did for the fourth week because they also have set other fighters in competition. You can't go into as much detail, which sometimes is good because sometimes you can go into too much detail about a fighter and that fighter mightn't turn up on the night. So yeah, you do analyse the opponent, and yeah, we done that. We analysed the last lad from Sweden.
Yeah, Lyndon.
Yeah, we knew he was going to be rough. He was going to be tough. He was going to use his head. He was going to use his arms. He's going to try win by all costs. I held a little bit too much in that fight, but I saw I had no headbutting and he was pushing me up by the head. Um, in hindsight, I wasn't holding as much, but I didn't really have much of a choice in the situation that I was in.
To be honest, I think both of you were just kind of trying to cling to that, to cling on and win that bout and qualify. So, sometimes it's not what you set out to do, but there was
Mm,
such determination by both of you. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and then what actually happened in the third round was when I got points took off me in the third round for holding. Again, for me, I shouldn't have gotten the points off. Although I was holding, he was infringing, and he was like he hit me 3 times after the ref said stop.
Yeah.
Um, I think he had done more fouls than myself, but I remember when that point took off me, I was like, he's gonna come at me, and instead of meeting him head on, I went on the back foot for the first
Nice.
first
Yeah.
time in because I went in the early 20s. I used to be a counter puncher, and I used to box on the back foot. It was when they changed the scoring to the 10-9 system. I changed my style to more aggressive. So I still have that in my back pocket and I can use it. So I knew he was going to come on, and it was just like, right, he's going to make mistakes now. What we talked about earlier on, that you can go hell for leather, you'll open up and you'll make mistakes. So he came on, and I just stepped back, caught him backhand. He came again, caught him again. He came again, caught him again. So it's just like in the most important time of your life, sometimes you just have to stay calm and use your head rather than let emotion take over.
Absolutely. Because I've seen you box on a few occasions, and I'm thinking, and don't get me wrong, I love to see you sit in the pocket and work, but I'm like, this kid can actually box on long range as well. And I'm always kind of like, why are you not using that more? But then you did produce that. So to me, that says, do you know what? He's got so many tools in his toolkit, he can just bring them out when he's ready. Do you know what I'm saying?
I can change it up. It's great because the same thing, I boxed the Ukraine in Stranja tournament last year. Now I got beaten in a split decision, but I met him head on. But then when I had successes, when I went to middle and long range, so I went close. He thought I was going to stay short range. I went close, took a step back. He fell forward with his feet, and I caught him. So yeah, I can box in all three distances, which is great for myself when I need to do it.
It is, and for somebody that is, a boxing purist, there are some people that like to see just a scrap. I love to see, quality boxing. There's loads of people like me out there, and it is such a great thing to see someone just go, oh, okay, I just need to switch this up a little bit, change my game plan to get on top, which is what you did. Talking about that, so let's talk about your teammate, Kelly Harrington. Obviously, qualified, quality boxer. I wanted to know your take on professionals coming back into the amateur scene and, basically representing their country. Because obviously, Kelly fought, is it Hamadouche from France, and dominated throughout, didn't she?
Yeah. So first of all, Kelly's a world class athlete, unbelievable. And then my take on it is, I don't know. I'm not for it. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not for it. I think you're either professional or amateur. Um, at the same time, I think most people that box now, bar that woman, because she was like, I think it's more in the women's game where you have world champions coming back. Like I
Yeah.
don't many world champion men that come back to amateur boxing. I think it's more in the women's game. Didn't is it Pontoon from Belgium?
So Hamadouche did. Passoon from Belgium, and Christina Hammer, who got
Yeah,
allegedly very beaten up.
yeah. So
I didn't see
I
the fight, to be fair.
think more in the women's game that a class opposite coming back. And I know you have the Uzbek #1, but I think he was boxing amateur when he went professional. So yeah, I'm sort of Definitely not for it, but I don't think in the men's game it's having as much effect as it is in the women's game. Although they are getting beaten because they're two completely different. It's like it's like a sprinter and a marathon runner. Yeah, they're both runners, but they're two different disciplines. A sprinter's never going to beat a marathon runner.
You were talking about there being two different sports.
Yeah, so like the way I put it in, is like athletics. They're the same discipline. So running, a marathon runner is never going to sprint or over 100 meters, and a sprinter is never going to beat a marathon runner in a marathon race. They're the same sport with different disciplines. So you're doing 3 3 minute rounds. It's pure anaerobic as fast as possible. Yeah, you have no time to make mistakes. And then in a professional, you're doing like 10 to 12 rounds. It's a slower pace. You can't go at the same pace. It's impossible to do that. You might have one or two people in the world that can, but the rest can't. So yeah, it's two different sports. And then, so the way my coach always puts it to me is, you can if you lose two rounds in an amateur fight, you've lost the fight. You can lose 4 to 5 rounds in a professional fight and still win.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
it is. So she is actually the IBF world champion. And so, going back to what you just said, there's such a number one, there's such a vast difference in the disciplines. That's the first thing. And that also says to me, or opens up the question about, the quality of fighters at world level in the pros, the females I'm talking about, versus the quality of the females of the amateurs at top level.
Yeah, well, the amateurs are better. Like, there's no doubt about it. Even in terms of, like, I'm not gonna name any names. I'm not gonna like put anyone down, but the level of women's professional boxing at the moment isn't great because it might be around 20 odd years, but it's still a growing sport, and so is the amateur side. But at the moment, the amateur side is a little bit ahead of the professional game. And look, it'll take 20, 30, 40 years for all that to evolve because there is only a new sport, realistically.
Yeah. Listen, I understand that females want to get competition where they can get it. I guess that because it's so easy, or it's easier, I should say, to get a world title in the professionals. I think almost the challenges that are not there anymore, and so some want to come back, obviously, to represent their country, but also to experience new challenges. Personally, I think if you've done 2 or 3 fights in the professionals, I personally don't think you should be allowed to box at the Olympics. That's just my personal view.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with it. I was looking at, there is going to be arguments for either side, but for me, the Olympics is an amateur sport.
I
It
agree.
should on amateurs fighting in it. And once you've done your Olympic dream, you can go professional. Then there's still time. It's a great, it's a great stepping stone for a good professional career. I don't know why you have to do both of them at the same time.
I know that I'm not supposed to ask this because your eyes are firmly on Tokyo, but being 30 years of age now, I know that's not too old, but if you were to get a medal in Tokyo, would you consider, or are you considering going over into the pro ranks?
Yeah, so I am 30, so I'm not a kid. Um, yeah, like, so I'm gonna look at it financially now. What I'm definitely gonna stay in boxing. That's one thing for sure because I still I'm 30. I don't look 30. I still feel young. Um, I have another 3, 4, 5 years left in the sport, so I will look financially. Like now, the Olympics has always been the dream for me. So that I never really cared about financially. If I was making money, it was more, that was more for myself and more for my family. So now I'll be looking at financially what is going to make me the most money over the next 3, 4, 5 years. Um, so my grant will go up if I get a medal. Um, so that would put, and it would go up to good money. I would see where I'd be with sponsorship with along with that over the next 3 years, and I calculate that up. And then yeah, I'm open to talking to promoters. If I was going to go professional, ideally I would probably want to go to New York. Is where
Nice.
I'd ideally want to go. Again, that's that all comes down to finances. If I'm making good enough money over there, if I can get good enough sponsors, that will help me fund training, etc. Um, but yeah, I would like to go pro, and I would like to give it a shot. I would also like to be fast tracked because I'm coming from the amateur boxing where I'm in competitive fights. So what gets me up is competition. I like competition. I don't want to go back and fight. No disrespect to journeymen, but I don't want to go back and fight people that I'm going to be knocking out or beating easy. I want to be in competitive fights. Now, I'm not saying I need to be fighting world beaters straight off the bat, but I want someone that's going to at least punch back at me. And if I can't get that, I don't really see the point in going professional. So, yeah, so if finances are right and competition is right, I will definitely look at the option of going professional.
Really thought it through. That's brilliant. It's interesting because you're not the first person to have said that, they don't want to go back to kind of the lower level boxers. I'm trying to say that in a very politically correct way. They need to get up for competition. But then on the flip side, I kind of understand that you have to learn your craft. So it's a double-edged sword, really, though, isn't it?
It is double-edged sword, but I already have a professional style, which we mentioned earlier on. So I don't think I'll have to. There won't be much transitioning for me from amateur to professional. If anything, I'm trying to transition back to amateur. I'm trying to speed things up for amateur. Like whereas I am a professional fighter. I would say with professional style, so there won't be much transitioning. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to fight one, two, or three lads that aren't up to scrap. I understand that, but once I get to like 4, 5, 6, and 0, I'd like to be pushed on because I have no problem with losing. I have no problem with losing once I'm in a competitive fight. So I would rather be in a fight against someone that's 8, 9, 10, and 0 that's going to actually fight with me and it's a 50-50 fight rather than bowling someone over that hasn't won a fight in 20 fights. I don't see the point in that. I would rather be in competitive action.
Yeah. You love a tear up, you, don't you?
Yeah.
What I'd like to say is the best of luck when you fly out, not only when you fly out to Tokyo on Wednesday for the whole tournament. I wish you all the best. And as always, thank you very much for giving us your time.
Yeah, no problem. It's been great chatting to you and the plans to bring a medal back to Ireland. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks very much.